Hi friends, I thought I would pop on here to quickly show quickish 2 products I recently purchased from Sephora. And I wanted to highlight the fact that I recently went through a declutter and have become more mindful about my spending and wanted to seek out products that will not necessarily replicate what I already have in my collection but will complement it. And while I understand I have several products in the different categories of makeup, foundation, concealer, blush, bronzer, highlighter, I still love the cheek category most. When it comes to blushes and bronzers and such, it's tough for me. I have become better where I'm not latching on to the latest and greatest quickly, and I just let my FOMO kind of settle, and if it's still on my radar, if I'm still thinking about it, then I'll buy it, which is what I did today. One of those products being the Hourglass Unreal Liquid Blush. The minute I saw this product in terms of it being released, I had to have it because I have a lot of Hourglass, and the reason why I only got one shade is because I got all of these guys. And I thought the shade Vanish would complement these blushes well because it's a rose. I know there's the terracotta shade, but the terracotta looks so red, and because I already have the House Slabs, the Tangelo, I know it's not the exact same color, but that heat in the cheeks I think is very much created by this shade. I also have Smolder, well, I'm thinking about Final Surges. Yes, it's Inferno. That shade is still working well. It has not gone bad on me, and one of my most favorite red tone blushes in a cream format, and that's why I just stayed away from that color. And the other product I got, I'm ashamed for liking this product and buying it, but I admit it was because of the packaging. The minute I saw it online, I'm like, oh my goodness, and it has not left my mind. I have this running wish list that just keeps on increasing. Some products leave the wish list and some products stay on, and that is this YSL bronzer, specifically the All Hours Hyper Bronze. I decided to get the shade 04 Warm Sandalwood. 03 was like a yellowish tone, and I thought the sandalwood color. First of all, can we just look at this compact? It is so obnoxious, but I love, like, I think this is faux material with the YSL logo down the center. And although the ingredient list has citrus, lemon, limon peel extract, it doesn't have a strong fragrance, which I was afraid of. But look at this color bronzer. I thought it was just beautiful. So now that I've presented the products I purchased. Oh, I wanted to mention one thing. My apologies, timestamps will be down below. I saw that Patrick Ta is releasing a new foundation, but while I was decluttering, I found his cream foundation. Remember this guy? I have it in shade medium 3, and I've been using the heck out of it. I love how it makes my skin look. It's smoothing, it's lightweight. It basically kind of blurs out a lot of my blemishes, and the color match, which I'll mention I mixed with the Auric Glow Lust in Sunstone. And I'm not entirely sure how the liquid foundation will compare to this, but I've been using the heck out of this. So sure, maybe the liquid foundation I'll eventually purchase, but at the end of the video, I'll share another wish list that I'm thinking on, and I would love to know what you think down below. Let's get into the swatches for the Hourglass. Oh, there's a sticker on the cap. I'll pull up the product page too. Again, I have Vision for True Rose, and it is a liquid blush that visibly plumps with hydration and delivers unreal buildable color for a natural finish that stays in place for up to 12 hours. Coverage is light, finish is natural. How to use, okay. Shake well with cap before use. Remove cap and turn the bottle upside down and gently press the soft button on the bottom to dispense 1 drop on the back of hand. Next, use number 15 blush brush. We have plenty of blush brushes here at Archer headquarters. Lightly tap the blush starting at the apple of the cheek. Okay, so I do have my palette on standby, which I used to apply my foundation today. Actually, I have been doing this entire process for my complexion step, and I think it just has made a tremendous difference in how my foundation, how my skin looks overall. I think a lot smoother as opposed to me applying foundation or anything else directly on the face. Again, we have the shade Vision. This looks terracotta to me. The terracotta shade, let me get the name of it. Hold on. Imagine looked red, which is totally fine, but here, let's do the, oh, I forgot to shake it. All right. Oh my gosh, too much. So here is the texture, right? Isn't that a lovely color? It's a warm pink, but it has like a nice reddish tone, which I thought would be wildly appropriate for my wheelhouse of blush shade likingness. And let me swatch the bronzer. I think this bronzer is like $65, excuse me. Again, for Sandalwood, it just says Sandalwood. It doesn't have another description except that one. Sandalwood is giving a little bit of, well, let's see. I like it. It's almost like, because I have Mother's Divine bronzer on standby, I have two, Desert Glow, which is the tan bronze, which is a little more, let's see. Oh wow, it looks more orange compared to the YSL Sandalwood shade. And next we have Bronze Divinity, the terracotta bronze. Let's see here. Definitely suspected has a little more red, and comparatively the YSL Sandalwood shade looks a little more neutral, but I thought it was unique, and shame on me for saying that, especially knowing how many bronzers I have in my collection. I know, but I thought this was just the perfect amount of brown but also a little bit of red. I thought it would just look phenomenal on my face. Now that we've gotten the swatches out the way, we gotta roll in a little closer to see these products in action. That's enough. I'll apply the bronzer first, and of course I must use my Bobodo and Tuckahoe collab Psycho and Great Squirrel hybrid powder brush. As I mentioned when I reviewed this brush, I love it for bronzing because of the taper. It just pounces that powder effortlessly. It doesn't even matter what product it is, okay? Ooh, let's give it a whirl. I'm excited. That's nice pickup, and let's just kind of, I'm upset at how beautiful this looks. And I understand, I remember the point I made about someone not realizing what bronzer this is. They'll see it and they'll just say, oh, Alicia, that's so nice. Or not, maybe they'll say it's ugly. But to me, and knowing what I have in my collection, oh my goodness. And the powder, the texture is unbelievably silky. If used this with my skin, it does not look powdery whatsoever, and virtually effortless in the application. And it gives me the right amount of heat too. It doesn't look overwhelmingly bronzed. And I'm happy I went with number 4, because I think number 3 would have been a little too yellow and it would have just thrown off my entire complexion. So I'm happy that we went with number 4. And here are some close-up shots so you can see how the bronzer appears on the skin. This is pretty. And I'm still bronzing. What's wrong with me? Wow, 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 wow. Wow. Beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Why would I expect anything else? Because I know luxury beauty had a reputation of being overpriced, and this 100% is overpriced, but at least the delivery aligns with the price right now, how I'm experiencing it. Everything from the packaging, the color, the texture, even the pan basically mimics the design of the compact. It's okay, enough. We get it, Alicia. Going in now with this Hourglass blush, and I'm just taking from what I originally swatched, and this is my Refer foundation brush, by the way. I knew this was going to be a phenomenal product. I mean, hello? What an effortless, beautiful color. And I'm so happy I chose Vision. I thought Vision was a great transitory color from summer into autumn, because this could be totally autumn. I think in terms of what occurs naturally in nature, and I'm speaking from an East Coast perspective, right? What we see in terms of color change during the autumn season. You got a lot of warm moments that happen, and I think this is more than appropriate to be worn in autumn, even in winter time if I want it. Because what I can do, and this is why I chose this shade, I could just forego the bronzer, go exclusively with Vanish, and then perhaps plop on the slightly cooler, pinkier shades from the Tiger palette, which originally was not released with these colors. I had this custom ordered, wanted the medium palette in the Tiger palette. But if I wanted to make this more cool girl blush like, I would then pounce on these. Actually, let's do that. I realized I have the bronzer on, but I just wanted to demonstrate my theory, see how it would go. In having Vanish on the majority of my cheeks, which, by the way, hold on, let me do the close-ups. It looks beautifully smooth. I think there is some pearl in the formula and why it leaves behind more of that sheen, but it doesn't look slickety slick. It doesn't have that same dewy finish as the Haus Labs blush sticks. And I think a great setup if I wanted to plop on the Dior, if I wanted to plop on the Armani. Again, why I purchased the Rose, because I have the more lilac tone in the Armani, the Tangelo shade, Haus Labs in the more lilac shade, and also what I have in Blooming Romance. I'm thinking of the shade Dreamy. That is more of a rose, but I think a little cooler tone than Vision, but what an incredible product. My gosh. Let's go in with the more cooler tone blushes and see how it influences the finish. I'm plopping in these two, and we'll go on side number one. And it behaves well under the powder blush, right? Which is what I was thinking of doing, you know, in combining products. But ooh, it gives a little bit of sheen. You know what I mean? So if you could see how it appeared when applied solo, now with the cooler, pinkier blush, this definitely could be more of a winter cheek. Again, without the bronzer, and maybe with that gosh darn Dior contour stick I'm thinking about buying. I think with the cooler contour and this rose shade and the cooler pink powder blush will be a phenomenal cheek winter look. However, we do have the more coral leaning shades in the Owl palette. Yeah, so we could definitely see how those fare with Vision. And I also have the more coppery tones from the Deep palette when the Elephant palette was available, I think in 2022. It will probably be this shade that will pair well with Vision. But going back into the Owl palette, I think, any of these two actually. So let me wipe that brush so there is no color cross contamination. And I'll tap between the two and see what we got. What do you guys think? I think the difference is subtle, right? It's hard to tell, but I do recognize that my right side, your left, is a little more neutral pink, whereas the other side is giving more of a coral pink, right? Again, very nuanced, but I enjoy the fact that this shade Vision plays well with all of my powder blush shades in the Hourglass palettes. That was the objective in purchasing Vision. All the other shades look phenomenal, and I can make an argument why I should buy all of them and they will match well with all these powder shades. Because of all the liquid blush products I just showed, one is enough, and it allows me to fully enjoy it because, my goodness, this is a first impressions, but I am impressed by the texture, the formula, the finish, the shade. Check marks across the board. Since we already have our maximizer on standby, I'll just tap a little bit right here. Why not, since we have it? And then we can go into my next purchase. What I'm thinking about buying from Dior Beauty. I recently filmed a Dior Beauty favorites video that was inspired by my declutter, where I went through all of my products and was reminded at how much Dior Beauty I have in my collection and how I just adore those products. And recently, I don't know how recently, Dior released quite a many of a new product to their brand, and man, do they speak to me at another level. Ooh, that's pretty. We're looking glowy owy, but the skin doesn't look greasy. You know what I mean? It's not giving overly dewy, just right. Everything from the YSL bronzer through the Hourglass products through the Dior maximizer we just applied. And what about we gotta put some lips on, family. I have my Prada bombs on standby as well. I have them, so funny, I have them displayed on my desk because, you know, they're so pretty. Is this the one I want? Let's see. Yes, I think it is. Oh, Universal 11. So do we want anything on the eyes for the rest of the video? It's okay, we'll just leave the eyes as is. Here's what I'm looking to purchase from Dior Beauty. I'll put my basket up next to me. The Dior Forever Skin Perfect foundation stick. I'm planning on 4N neutral because I have 4N in their Forever Correct concealer, and I think 3.5 would just be a little too light for me now. Even if it's going to be perfect for the winter time, I can still finagle 4N to not be as tan during the winter just by mixing it with a lighter foundation, which I already own. The Rouge Blush Contour and Glow 757 in Will Dior. This berry shade just slapped me in the face. When I was going through the colorways and saw Will Dior, I was like, that has to be the one. Because I do have one Dior blush from a collection I cannot recall when it launched, that it is a berry wine shade, but I don't think it's the same texture. This looks baked, just from assumption looking at the photos, but you let me know down below if it's not. Next, the Dior Forever Skin Contour Stick, and making a note, thank you for letting me know that tan is a deliberate bronzer shade for medium skin tones. That's why it looks like out of place in the swatches, but I would like to get 03 medium because, believe it or not, I am a neutral undertone gal, and I think contouring can be tricky when you have to strike that delicate balance between cool and neutral depending on your undertone. And I have a feeling this shade with Will Dior, oh my goodness, super sculpted through the hollows and then plopping on that berry blush, or more so, what am I saying, that wine on top on the cheeks would just be outrageous. The Dior Addict Lip Maximizer in 020 Mahogany. I'm not a personal fan of the maximizers or any lip product that has plumping properties that makes your lips feel like they got stung. But when I saw the lip photos, I was like, wow, that's pretty. And when paired with the blush, oh my goodness. And lastly, I would like to also purchase the Dior Show 5 color eyeshadow palette in 183 Plum Tutu, because I did swatch Plum Tutu at the Sephora that I visited today, and I thought because of those shades it would just pair beautifully with the 757 Will Dior. But I also have 769 Tutu in the 5 palette, but this is a little more cool toned. Not that it wouldn't pair well with Will Dior, but Plum is more plum. It's definitely a little more red purple in the undertone, and I thought would be a great pairing with the blush. Right now my total sits at $257. So $250 for 5 products. That's Dior Beauty for you. But that's how my basket is looking. I have not pulled the trigger yet, and I most certainly will let you know, and we'll get right back on here for the review. We backed it up a little bit, and ooh, the face is facing. Thank you so much for joining me on this video. I always love sharing my purchases with you. It's nice to have beauty friends that appreciate the excitement in buying new makeup, but when buying new makeup that hits, the minute you apply it, it's like, wow, this is incredible. And I know I underwent the same experience when trying on my older makeup products, but because I recently went through everything, giving away, keeping, I don't have a liquid blush of this caliber. This is in a lane all on its own, and I have a lot of liquid blushes. I think my most liquid type as of now is the Giorgio Armani. I'm trying to think because I made sure I stored all my liquid cream blush products at one place, but I do have my Phytosurgeons in another, and what I could recall is the Lisa Eldridge, but that was a tough formula to work with because it was like thick. It wasn't quite liquidy like the Hourglass, and despite it being a liquid, it didn't break apart my foundation, it didn't break apart the bronzer. It just kind of placed itself on my cheeks and appeared even and smooth and just perfect. And what can I say? This YSL bronzer, this is something I proudly will have on my vanity, and why I would rather wait and purchase something just beautiful and not spend money on mid-tier makeup that's okay. And that's why I stopped buying drugstore, because over time you're spending just as much on drugstore, and it's not even in aesthetic wise, right? It's like, it's okay and it's cool that the product itself delivers, but I want something like this. I want this, my goodness, this looks like a pillow practically. Oh, and the shade. Sign me up. So that is it, family. Let me know what you recently purchased, anything if you have these products already. And if you have any of the Dior, some of you had mentioned your recent Dior purchases under my video and I am following suit, but I would love to hear your insight. So I'll see you down in those comments. Make sure if you enjoyed watching this video that you like it, maybe consider subscribing. You'll see more of my face on your recommendations feed, and also stay tuned for more, and I will see you on here next time.